Join the legendary Force MDs in the morning, along with Dr. Pebbly Pooh, the first female hip-hop soloist, in the mornings on the Force MDs Morning Show, featuring Dr. Pebbly Pooh, Tuesdays and Thursdays at 10 a.m. Eastern Time, live on Facebook or on Uni TV and radio on the Force MDs page.
DST, you was about 35 years old, man. What the hell you drinking, man? What the hell, man?
Just for men.
My brother.
Yo.
Oh my God.
Yeah, what's up, man?
So if y'all don't know who we got on here, I feel bad for y'all, man. Because when you talk about greatness, you talking about the essence, you talking about the foundation, you talking about the pioneer, you talking about the grand mixer, the legendary grand mixer, DXT. Do you understand what's going on here? Grammy Award winning, man. And I had to co-sign for that Grammy. I was in that meeting, they were saying like, yo, should we give it to my man? I said, yo, give it to dude, or drum bombs is dropping up in the son of a bitch. Give my man a motherfucking win. You know what I mean? They said, you know what? All right, Kyle, we don't want the bombs in this. Give him the Grammy. Him and Herbie Hancock, let it go. So they blasted off. Put hip hop.
I don't have your money, bro.
Put hip hop center focus, and he still didn't give me my props to let me do this.
I'm sorry, bro. I spent your money.
Hey, Khalil. Let DST know what he does to make people dance. Just put out a couple of characters and let him know what he does to make people dance.
Yes. You gotta see what these people do.
He can make you moonwalk.
Holy moly, guacamole. Hey, guy. Yeah. I knew if I put DXT up here, you would pop up, man. I said if I put DXT up here, he gonna pop up. Because DXT, he got a warrant for your arrest, brother. I'm telling you right now. We got him right here. Guys, right here. Funky Fresh in the Flesh, baby.
Funky Fresh in the Flesh. What's up, y'all?
Yeah, well, let me just say something, man.
What's good?
When DXT won the Grammys, man, won a Grammy, all of us, the whole hip hop was like this. Look, holy moly, guacamole, for real, man. Yeah, man. Oh man, DXT was like, yo, I put my work in, son. Y'all niggas stop playing, other genres of music was like, what? How this nigga do that? Yeah, some people was hating, some people was mad, like this dude, man. But guess what? Guess who was doing their thing? DXT was like this. Look, beat it, all you gotta do is beat it. You know what I mean? Let me tell you something, man. Yo, I'm telling y'all right.
We're making you feel welcome, DST.
Hey, yo.
We stayed up all night to put that together, bro.
Look. He was really like, yo, man, I deserve that shit, man. But we did catch him after he got the Grammys backstage. We was kind of watching him, and we was like, yo, is DXT all right? He was like, I swear to God, I didn't believe I was going to win this shit.
We won.
For hip-hop. But let me tell you something, man. Salute, good brother. And let me tell you something, man. I think today it can't be a coincidence that we got you on here today, because some of the conversations we had about things that's taking place in the hip hop culture right now, and things that's affecting us. You know what I mean? As as a culture right now. I know you probably heard DXT, because we know your brain is on high level, so we definitely want to get some of you sneeze some of that shit out. You know what I mean?
Just do me a favor, man.
We're gonna get into the history, because he can break down the history of the hip hop and the whole thing neatly, sweetly, and completely. You know what I mean? But right now, my brother, my man, Pots and Pan, Baked Beans, Lasagna, the Ocean Boing Boing. Let me say something, bro. what's your thoughts on what's happening in the hip hop culture right now? Because we just lost another great one yesterday. What's your thoughts, man?
And I am not aware of that, so please update me on what's going on.
I'm gonna update you right now, good brother. Right now, you know, right now. Just happened, man. This morning, man. Offset from the Migos.
No, Takeoff.
Takeoff. I'm sorry. Takeoff from the Migos got shot in the head, man, at a bowling alley in Houston, Texas. They had a little. There was a private party dice game. Jay Prince. He was with Jay Prince's son, Jay Prince Jr.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So that's what happened, man. You know, and we know about the PNB Rock, and we could go on and go on and go on, man. It's like, and like I said, it gets redundant. Some of us get what we just get immune to this shit, but I ain't immune to this. This hurts. Somebody family, somebody mother, somebody cousin, aunt, somebody children is in deep pain right now and deep loss, man. But what you think of the state of the culture right now, D? You know what I mean?
Well, the most interesting word that you're using there is the word culture. And a culture with no moral responsibilities to its youth is no culture at all. Your culture is supposed to function as your immune system within the social structure that you're functioning in. And so what we're calling a culture is not a culture. And it hasn't been one for a very long time, since almost the beginning of it. We do not understand the social construct that we're functioning in, because we are constantly pulled from one side, one place, one up, down, across, to really get grounded into the understanding of actually what we're doing within this social structure. And so, sure, within us comes these expressions, and we, in our time, we're calling this expression hip hop, which is an ancient expression, but in our time, using a language that's not our language, we're calling it hip hop. There are people who know this very well, more than we know ourselves. And so they wait for this to happen. It comes from the youth, because they are the ones that can express this energy the best. We have been cut off from our ancestors, so we don't recognize what we're experiencing when we do it. We think it's new. And what makes it even more new to us is that we give it a name in our time. Hip hop is the name that we give this expression in our time. But it's an ancient expression. And it is responsible for most of the greatest things that have happened on this planet. But now it's been farmed. Social farming is one of the greatest achievements of our, I don't even know what to call them anymore, but they are constantly watching and waiting for the expression to meet its peak in a particular group of children in that time, to begin to extract not only the cultural wealth from it, but to also weaponize it and turn the weapon at the practitioners. And so through the monetary system and the isms that we are conditioned into, materialism, it's a very effective tool. And as you can see now, the desensitization, if I'm saying this right, desensitization, if that's correct me if I'm wrong, we are following a program that's well laid out. And, the powers that be within our community are not the powerful people. They have been made to be leaders to mislead. If you ever notice on the news when there's a serious issue, it's always a sports player, no disrespect to them, or an artist, but it's never Professor Smalls.
Right.
It was never Asa Hilliard, Shashi McIntyre, Henry Clark, Ben Yackerman. It's never those people. It's someone that is bought into the system of materialism, and the monetary system gives them a fake sense of freedom, but they're still on the farm. And now we can all see that. No matter how many Bentleys you buy, you're going to eventually come to a sign that says, nigga, stop, turn around. The farm ends here. And so we haven't figured that out yet.
You know what? Let me kind of throw some more broccoli and carrots in the pot that you're talking about.
Just don't put no pig feet in there.
Yeah, no, I ain't putting no hog maw in there. I ain't gonna do that. I ain't putting no hog maw in there.
So now you know he does deal with that pig feet.
No guts. I ain't gonna put no guts in there. But,
right.
You know what?
Did I make any sense to you guys?
Oh no, you made a lot of sense, pretty much. And let me. And this is why I said I want to add on what you're saying for those that's out there that's listening right here. We got here right now, hip hop pioneer, legendary. Grand Mixer DXT. And we're gonna get more into his contribution to this whole culture that we call hip hop, and this whole new genre that pretty much took over. As an art. And as a sound, the whole world. But going back to what he was saying about, the cycle, about music, about the energy of the youth, that creative zone, going back to, you can even look when Hoover, who was the director of the FBI, he said, they're always looking for a new black messiah. They cry out for that black messiah. But at the same time, we go back a little further. When you go back into like the Menonetta, and you go back to Egypt, and you go back to Africa, and you go back into our different spiritual, communication or heights and stuff that we naturally embedded in us. And at these young ages, certain ways that we connect to the universe and we create and do what we do, we bring stuff to so many different levels of creating it, but we always get it boxed in, used against us, weaponized against us, and to the point where right now it's like we as the elders of this right here, we ourselves, have to look at in the mirror too and say, yo, what role do we play in this right now? Because these are our kids, And some of us, in our upbringing came up, we kind of took our foot off the gas because we didn't invest in knowledge of self. To free us up mentally and spiritually and come up with a system to govern and help grow these kids. Like other cultures, like, they got the what is called the Jewish ritual. What they call it again? From boys to men.
Bar mitzvah.
Bar mitzvah. We don't got no systems that we got in place to brings these boys into men and learning about conflict resolution and learning how to communicate and deal and how to work as a brothers for and by one another. We don't got none of that set up like that. These are the things that need to be injected back into our community, because then if you look at our community and you look worldwide into all the biggest cities and even countries, whatnot, these are some of the things that kind of like diminish us from kind of getting our grasp on certain things that we need to claim as our own and to empower ourselves. So a lot of blame, is like, us, as coming up, a lot of us didn't really just kind of like, because these are our kids that we're talking about. Because each generation, like you said, the kids are going to be kids. And that window from 14 to 20, 24, 25, kids is going to go wild. There's a lot of kids gullible, they impressionable, so forth and so on. But at the end of the day, it's easy for them to get lost in the given shuffle, But realistically, our people our age, people like God never came to help the kids, man. I'm just joking, man. It felt good when I was talking. I felt good. It felt good. Hey, Pooh, it felt good when I said it a little bit, but no.
DXT, I was gonna say, I said, you done got Khalil in a building session. I'm like, speak on it, God. Like we done change. Make this a circle. We in a cipher now. All right, God. I'm sorry. Let me get my lessons together, man. Let me get my lessons right, bro.
No, hold on. So look, because we're gonna get into DXT. You know,
we got to get into that. But
what do you think about what he said?
I love the conversation. No, I think he's right. I always said that there's a difference between the culture and the business, you know, and we keep conflating the two. And the reason that the power is conflated too, because the culture is valuable, and so if it's just pop music, then that's valuable for a time. But if it's cultural, it's valuable for a lifetime. And so they're always conflating the hip hop culture with rap music, and so I think that the culture has been subculture for the entire time, and rap music has been pop. The reason why you know it's not cultural because they don't talk about any of the other aspects of the culture. They only talk about the rap music. They barely talk about the DJ. They don't talk about the dancer. They don't talk about the artist. They don't talk about the politics. All they talk about is the rap music because they can inject whatever messages they want from that into the atmosphere. So I agree wholeheartedly with what the brother's saying. And I agree with what you're saying too, Khalil. Peace God to you.
Yeah, positive education always correct errors, man. Protons and electrons creates atoms, man.
There we go. Here we go. All right.
Positive energy always crushes evil, man. Let's not play. But no, forget Steve. I'm sorry.
Hey, DST. Just
yes,
a
sir.
question. Just make on some hip hop history. Is it true since you've been there? You've been
it's a lie.
Okay.
It's all a lie.
Okay.
No, go ahead, bro. Go ahead.
Question. Keith Cowboy of the Furious Five.
Yes, sir.
Is it true that he pretty much kind of came up to term the word hip hop just as like talking about just saying it in a rhyme like he was in the army, just saying hip hop, like it came out in one of his rhymes, and they stuck that title to hip hop afterwards. Is that true?
No.
Okay, good. So let
me say why I'm saying that.
Okay.
Because I wasn't at that party, so I've been going around trying to find someone, and I haven't found one person with a name that says they actually witnessed that. 1, 2, the term was already going around. That term was used to insult breakdancers, b-boys. It was actually a pejorative to begin with. Now, I don't know if those people who had that narrative of cowboy was aware of that. So it could be a coincidence. But the Soldier's Cadence, I forgot the brother's name who came up with that. So he was already using that. They're paraphrasing in that story that when the guy gets to the army, he's going to do this. And that's what they do in the army. So the term already existed. But who said it? See what I'm saying? Because he's saying when you get to the military, the drill sergeant's going to say. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
So he's already acknowledging it. But if you go back to the Soldier song in The Last Poets, he's going hip, here to left, hop, hip, here to left. Now, I don't know what I've been told. That's 72. Yeah, so some people heard that record.
Right.
The point is, what Cowboy and Starsky should be credited with is flipping a pejorative to a positive, because it was used as an insult before it was used any other way in the hip hop community. And that's when we would go to the parties with the older cats, and they would go, man, get that hippity hoppity BS out of here. Don't come in here with that hippity. And it was based on a dance move that we would do. And so, and remember, the MCing thing doesn't exist when they're saying this to the dancers. doesn't exist yet. There is no cowboy yet.
Correct.
And so that's another misnomer that has completely spun out of control.
That's why we got you here, man. That's why we got you here.
And to his credit, you know, because Cowboy and Lovebug Starsky, and bless both our brothers, they are with our ancestors now. Both of them are responsible for turning the pejorative to a positive. That's the way it should be credited for them. Not he started it. No, he did. We have several examples of that being used. Again, when you don't understand your connection to your ancestors, because at that time we were the latest models of our ancestors. Now these young children who's tearing each other to pieces, they're the latest model of our ancestors. And so that's what makes this critical for us to man up and step in and say that's enough. And the people that are playing this music, these radio stations and all of them, we gotta be men, have to be men and save our babies.
Okay, one more question. DMX, DST.
And on that note, I'm out.
Get at me, dog. DST, you could not tell. Hey. Anybody ever say, yo, DST, anybody ever say this? Call you DMX by accident?
What you really want?
D, check it out. There's a category in music right now, like for the Grammys, they call it rap, like for best rap. Now, did the word rap, did that come from the explosion of Rapper's Delight, or being named rap, or just because I know back it was MCing, but what changed it to rap?
Well, again, we're using this language, not our language, and so we interact wherever it feels good with it. You know what I'm saying? The term rap in the 60s when we were growing up, you gonna rap to that girl?
Right, I remember that.
No, he was rapping to that girl. Why you rapping to my girl? You know what I'm saying? Or, you know, let's wrap this up and get out of here. You know what I mean? Which is
wrap up them dishes in the kitchen.
Yeah, you know, let's wrap it up. It's a wrap, you know, at the end of a shoot, you know, and so the terminology it fluctuates. I mean, it's used when somebody feels to use it. I mean, there's no real protocol for the terminology of rap and hip hop, but politically, the term hip hop, and most people are surprised to hear this, but when you do your due diligence and research it, you'll find out this is true. The industry did not use that term until 92.
Wow.
They did not use hip hop until 92. So they were using rap throughout the industry. And I think it was because they didn't really understand the full package yet. And once they figured it out.
All right, this is my last question. This is my last question. Now, you working with the iconic jazz great Herbie Hancock.
Yes, sir.
And collaborating, the scratching, when you won the Grammy and everything, collaborating the hip hop sound into the jazz, because I think jazz is the cousin of hip hop for some reason, because there's a lot of connections there with jazz and hip hop.
The only difference is the names.
That's it. You see? Yeah. All right. That's right. That's good.
What you really want?
Listen, I got people on here. Wait a minute, Khalil. I got people on here. They said today's name or yesterday's name. Which one do you go by? Is it DXT or is it DST?
Today it's DXT.
Did y'all get that? Because we
And
put it in the chat as DXT.
It's been DXT since 92.
I did. That's why. Look, hey, Pooh. I read the chat. That's why I just put the picture up there, the flyer, where it says, Grand Mixer DXT. I put it so they can see it. Well, let me do the rewind. Let me do the rewind, man, because just with everybody, our listeners out there, so we all chewing the same gum and blowing the same bubbles. All right, so. no, watch this. Watch this. Look. So DXT, for those who may not be too familiar with you, with most everybody should, our audience, let everybody know where you're from.
I was born and raised in the Bronx, New York. Edenwald Projects, a legalized insane asylum. And I survived.
I kind of knew that about the insane asylum. We're going to touch on that later. Had messed your brain.
Well, that has a lot to do with how I became DXT. In 1989, my brother was murdered in the Edenwald Projects. And I went through a horrific experience, and I actually packed up, and actually I didn't pack up. I just went to the airport and got on a plane, and I moved to California. I stayed there for 15 years. And so in that process, I went through a metamorphosis, which at the end of it became DXT, not DXT.
All right, wait a minute. Who's the Facebook user? Facebook user, you're saying stuff, but we don't know who you are. It's just saying Facebook user. DXT, you like the hat? Wait a minute, you like the hat? Look, D, it says, "Good morning, DXT."
Oh,
that's bananas.
Yeah, look, listen, y'all know we got those hats for sale. Support the show so we can grow. We're gonna talk about that later, you know what I mean?
I hope I get one so I can promote it. But
listen, hold on. Let me we still flat boxing with DXT right now. Look. So DXT, when because you come from the early birth of the hip hop days. Give us your understanding how it involved and your perspective, and where was you at when it was happening? Oh, damn! I need to be on the motherfucking news channel. Okay.
I heard
that shit was so. I got a chill bump in my arm when I said that shit.
I heard they actually starting that the motherfucking news channel. You're gonna be the motherfucking anchor. And you're not gonna get motherfucking paid either.
For real. Facts. Oh my God.
Hold on.
And Sam Jackson is gonna be your co-host.
Pebbly. You're laughing too much now. You know what happens? You laugh too much on the show. I think DXT don't know how this plays out.
You see that?
Calm down a little bit, fool.
Calm down a little bit. DMX.
I know it's Bronx and Bronx.
Why don't I come back? Well, why did I come back when it's DMX?
You see what happened to Pebbly, right? She went back to the Bronx on you that quick. Pebbly, eat them all. Eat them. What she? She's out there somewhere. There she go. Oh, she's back. She's back up here. Oh, there she go.
Oh my God. Oh, okay. Wait a minute, D. Pam Beck is on here.
Pam.
Yo, Khalil, Pam said you made her disappear.
Now, what was the question? Because you went left.
Yeah, what was the question?
Yeah. D, you remember DXT? You can answer the question now.
You gotta tell me what the question is.
What the question was? Because you started your own news company.
Y'all some of my guns ain't gonna have me go back into my whole journal arsenal and present that damn question again. I said, because look, since I'm a professional journalist, what I said to D, I said, yo, give us your perspective of how hip hop started and where you was at and how did it play a role in your life. Damn, that was fly to the first.
Shut up. Let him answer.
Now, I have a question for that so I can answer properly. Are you talking about the terminology or the physical expression?
I'm talking about the physical expression.
The physical expression is ancient. It's ancient, man. It's been here for thousands and thousands and thousands of years. And now you can actually go back and look at footage all the way back to the 20s and all that. And you see all of that, even the rapping and all of that. In our time, we reconnected to that energy because we was cut off from it because of the social construct that we have been in captivity of. And so The powers that be have seen this several times, several generations. And here it is again. And this is why they're very savvy at, again, extracting the cultural wealth from it and steering us into self-destruction. And so
everybody still there?
I'm
Yeah,
here.
he froze.
Damn. He
Powers
took
that be
his
caught him.
action.
and so
Okay, there you go. Powers that be caught you for a second, cut you off right in at your high point.
what was the last thing I said?
I don't know.
Said DMT.
You said self-destruction.
Yeah,
Right,
that's,
and so-
that's the moment.
Right. And so that we've been steered into, what we have done is we reconnected in our time to that energy, and within our social construct, we're expressing it based on what we're dealing with. The technology of the time has an effect on how we're building and how we're using it. But ultimately, all of that can go away, and we would still be expressive. The physical expression is just it's written in our genetic makeup.
So watch this.
So-
Your the bug that made you like, what connected you? Like, yo, I'm did you see anybody mixing, doing what made you like start to develop and connect to that craft like that? Because it wasn't like everybody and their mother was doing it. It was like,
Right.
you
So
know what I mean?
I was a drummer before I got into DJing. I'm a drummer actually. And so I'm from a musical family, entertainment family. My Aunt Audrey was a singer. My Uncle Rex had hit records. Rex Garvin and the Mighty Cravers. Look him up. And I grew up in that environment. First day I walked into elementary school and saw the auditorium, that's where I figured I'd be for the rest of my time in the school building, because I belong on stage. But in our community, the alpha male generally would set the pace on which way most of the young men would go. So we went from, James Brown, the Jackson 5, to Muhammad Ali, to Bruce Lee, and then Kool Herc. We went to Smokey's parties and Kool Herc's
I'm so glad
parties.
you said that. I'm so glad you said Smokey. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, well, I'm Rob the Gold is my OG. He was the other guy, Smokey, Rob, and Lucky. And so
Yes. Oh,
Rob
my
is
God.
Rob the Gold is my OG. And even though
you talking about Smokey Rob and the
DJ Smoke,
Rob
No.
is in.
DJ Smoke.
DJ Smoke from the Master
Smokey
Plan
Rob
Bunch.
is in. Smokey Rob is in.
Okay.
Huh?
Clap for Stevie D, everybody. Clap for Stevie D.
Kyler, I think you need to send Stevie away for that. He needs to go.
Huh?
Yeah, that boy's good.
I think Stevie needs to go away for a couple minutes. Just
Who did you say?
That boy is good.
I got we go ahead, God.
So
Oh, Beverly, don't start this shit, Beverly. If Beverly
Wait a
start
minute.
laughing,
Wait a minute.
this ain't gonna stop.
Wait a minute. DXT said that boy good. Oh my God.
Thank you very much. Thank you. No more steps.
Oh gosh.
Hey, you know what? Let me jump right in here. Look, hey, D.
yes, sir.
Yo, what was that feeling like when you won that Grammy, man?
At the time, it was surreal. I think the reality of it, it's hard to explain it, because my whole idea of it was blown up from the moment I got to the Shrine Auditorium and we started to rehearse, and we literally rehearsed winning. I get that that's so that you know what to do, I guess. But when I started hearing the crowd audience and applause, and the only people that were sitting in there were the tech people. That was a little discouraging.
Mm.
And then I realized that, okay, this is show business. And so they're not going to have, because people boo too, and they don't approve of who won.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I'm not saying we didn't get booed, but I'm saying that happens in there. And so now I understood that all of this is all pre-done so that on television, it looks like it's a flawless.
Rhinoceros. Yeah.
Yeah. And so that kind of threw me off a little bit, but no, to stand on that stage and look down and Michael Jackson, Lionel Richie, James Brown, I mean, you name it, and they're standing on their feet. And people said, man, that's a very, very rare occasion that someone got a standing ovation at the Grammys, and we got a standing ovation, and I was speechless. It was like,
that boy good.
right. So it was when it's when I went back to the green room, because then you go through this whole railroad of interviews and photos, and and they questioning. And Michael Jackson was back there, and he came up to me and he said, man, y'all really had us fooled. We thought those were real mannequins and robots.
Wow.
And then I didn't realize he was that tall. He was really tall. And I went, wow. The only thing I said to him was like, man, you're tall.
My Michael, right?
Yeah,
you're not
tall.
little Michael Jackson no more, right?
Yeah, he was tall. And then the next album, his bad album, if you notice, it looks like he was in the Rocket Band.
Yeah, right.
Good point.
You look at the cover. And so we inspired him, and I was that was also another thing that I was very proud of.
That's big, man. That's big.
Yeah, so
Yo, man.
So you're just for those that don't know, because you went right to the Grammy, with the legendary Herbie Hancock. His embrace of DJ culture and hip hop culture at that moment, in some eyes, legitimized what we were doing. I know he understood, coming from the jazz background, like you said, he understood it's the same thing. He understood the continuation of what they were doing, but that Rocket and all the work you did with him was monumental in I think making hip hop mainstream. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, I mean, it changed music forever. And
yeah, absolutely.
To Herbie's credit, he came from Miles.
Right.
And so
absolutely.
He was the turntablist with the piano at that time.
Absolutely.
And
absolutely.
so Miles saw the uniqueness in his ability. And actually Herbie was in Donald Byrd's band.
Yes.
And the phone rang at a rehearsal, and Donald picked the phone up, and it was Miles, and he went, "Hey man, send me that piano player."
Yeah, and you know what? You had to do what Miles said, right?
And that was it. True story. That was it. And he hung up the phone. He went over to Herbie and said, "Yo, pack your shit. Congratulations. Miles wants you." And that was it. Okay. When Miles called, that was it.
Okay, this the burning question right here. The burning question of this whole interview. You being a DJ from the Boogie Down Bronx.
Yes, sir.
How did that connection come with Herbie calling you, saying, "Hey man, I want you to DJ on this new record I got, blah, blah, blah." How did that all happen?
Well, it's a long Othello, but I'll shorten it. So I ended up being the DJ at the Roxy's.
Okay, New York, yeah.
Right. So I was the first DJ. Grand Wizard Theodore and I were the first two DJs in the Roxy. And then I guess DJ Theodore got busy. He had other gigs. So it ended up being me. And so for the first few months of the Roxy's, I was in there doing my thing. And I was doing things that the other DJs, as y'all all know now, they didn't understand what I was doing, and they had never seen it.
Could
before.
not do.
I can't say they could. Well, in all due respect to them, their mental settings on using the turntables was already dialed in, and that's why the next generations are the ones that followed me and not them.
Ooh, I like how you said that, player.
Yeah, you did that.
And
I catch the little things, player, but yeah, I like that. Okay.
And another thing is, and this is going to come out in the whole hip hop debates, they weren't in Westchester, and so they didn't see that because they were exclusively in the Bronx. I was mostly DJing in Westchester. So if you would have went up to the legendary Collins brothers or anybody that was up in Westchester and they saw me do that at the Roxy or saw that or heard that, they would say that's DXT. But the DJs in the Bronx, they weren't up in Westchester. They stayed in the Bronx. So they did not know those styles.
Okay, referring to Westchester, you talking about Yonkers? Where at Westchester?
Yonkers, Mount Vernon, New Rochelle, all the way up to Stamford,
Plains.
Connecticut. White Plains, all the way up to Stamford, Connecticut. At the same exact time. As you know, when Raheem tells his story, he explains that I actually found him and tried to recruit him for my group. And he ended up joining the Brothers Disco. Now, when he did that, I already had my 4 MCs. I already had all of that in Westchester.
What were they called?
Infinity 4.
Wow.
And so the story, the plot thickens because there's a great shift in the force is coming. And that is the actual story, not the mythological narrative of what actually occurs. Because no one mentions Dominguez, and that's DJ Smoke.
Yes.
No one mentions him.
Yes.
And he played a major and an integral role in the whole scene, and he's one of the reasons why I DJ. Herc ultimately is the one who made me say, okay, I'm going to do that. You know what I mean? But Dominguez, Smokey, was one of the real pioneers of what we're doing, and his name is not mentioned. And just like you don't hear the Brothers Disco, which was one of the premier hip-hop groups of all time, you don't hear that because of nomenclature, if that's the right word to use there. They got disco in their name.
Right.
Yeah.
Or Disco King Mario. I was trying to build with a brother online because he's thinking that because his name got disco in it, is all he played was disco music.
No, right.
There's the term disco is short for discotheque.
Yes.
And that's a French word that means library of phonographs, of albums, of records.
Mm-hmm.
And so
better teach.
yeah.
People forget the Fat Boys was originally called the Disco 3. Like
right.
Back
so
then, and people would put disco in their name, you know.
Right, but the information was not disseminated properly, and then the terminology got stuck to a style of music that became known as disco music. But disco just meant this is the environment that you're in to hear loud music. It could be a discotheque, doesn't have to just be records. It could be a live band.
You talk about like Disco Twins.
Yeah.
Right. Or Disco King Mario.
Yeah.
You know, and remember now there was a difference in
look. Somebody asked this question, Herb Arbery.
That's RNS, by the way.
Yeah, he said, what did winning a Grammy actually do for your career?
That's
All
RNS.
right.
Yeah, it's RNS.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's RNS.
RNS.
Okay, yeah. All right, so your RNS, I had to let you know. Come on, man. He was happy, B.
I thought that was
break it down.
I thought that was Gary Scheider from Parliament Funkadelic just now.
Yeah, exactly.
RNS, a legendary producer from Staten Island.
I'm talking about the baby dancing with the diaper.
Oh, okay.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's one of my kids, man. But look, man.
Get the hell off the show.
Go get that diaper. Go get that diaper right now.
That's really scary. That looks like The Exorcist.
No. So, what's the answer to the question? He just what you got? What you want to how you want to respond to that?
Well, after seeing all that stuff I just saw, what they really want. No, y'all got to stop it with these memes.
You're the best.
You're killing me, man. Oh,
You're
Lord.
fabulous. Go on,
what did it do for me? While I was standing on stage looking at all these incredible artists and talent and being inspired, one of the things really in the back of my mind is that, and I'm getting ready to go back to the 5 train and ride back uptown when I leave here. So real talk. I was like, I got to go back to the hood. And because I wanted to, I got to bring this back to the hood. But what it did was it stamped in history a shift in music, and it stamped me with it. I'm in there with that change forever of changing music, being a person that was involved in one of the greatest recordings in the history of recording records. And so I get to take that with me and share that with everyone who can use that reality, because it's something that actually happened. But if he's talking financial and all that, none of your goddamn business.
No,
I'm kidding.
Hold on, Steve, hold on. You never answered the question of how you connected with Herbie. I'm really interested in that. You at Roxy.
Okay, so Roxy. So I ended up being the number 1 DJ in New York, and that's very difficult to do. And so we started reducing the lines at all the biggest clubs in New York. They all started coming to the Roxy to see this guy doing these strange things with the turntables. And so apparently Herbie's manager was there one night, and he saw what I was doing. And he also met with a gentleman that I didn't know at the time. His name was Bill Laswell. Mm-hmm. And Michael Beinhorn. And he was saying Herbie's looking for something new for his new record. And we're looking for a new sound and something, somebody to come up with something. And then another guy approached me. His name was Bernard Zekried, who became my agent and dear friend. He approached me because people were approaching me from everywhere, every angle you can think of. And there's other stories that I can't speak of at this time, but people were approaching me saying, "Hey man, we'd like for you to come here. We'd like for you to do this. We'd like to do that." So one guy said, "Hey man, we'd like to bring you to Paris, and we'd like to bring you to Paris, and you make a lot of money. You play a weekend in this club called the Bain Douche for 2 nights, and you make way more money you make here." And so I was like, "Okay, well, what else?" He said, "And there's a guy who's starting this record label, and he wants to make a record with you, and we want like you to come to the meeting. There's a few other people we met in here." And so I showed up at the meeting, and Bill Laswell was sitting there, Michael Beinhorn. And in that conversation, we were talking about the celluloid records. And I told him I have a musical background. I'm a drummer and all of this stuff. And so, yeah, DJing is one thing, but yeah, I'd love to make records. And so in that conversation, and by the way, we're going to possibly submit some demos to Herbie Hancock for his new album. That's how that came about. And so, yeah, I was thinking that at the beginning, when I first heard that, man, here's a chance for me to get my drum game going, but that wasn't.
They wanted your DJ game.
They were like,
this is what happened, because DXT don't really tell the whole story, right? So what happened was I was talking to Herbie Hancock, right? And Herbie said, "Yo,
yeah, you set yourself up for a horrible joke."
No, he asked me, "Did I know you?" I said, "Nah, I'm from Shaolin." He said, "What? Shaolin?" This is before even Wu-Tang even said Shaolin. He said, "I'm from Shaolin." He said, what is that? I said, Staten Island, man. Step up and catch up, bro. You know what I mean? And he said, yo, do you know my man? I said, I know my man. He's dope. I said, trust me, man. You know, your new album, because Herbie, you know, we love what you're doing with the jazz shit, but, you know, you got to kind of like keep shit, you know, moving and shit. So Herbie was looking at me like this, look, yo, Khalil, you's a fly human being. He's a fly human being. He said, that's a great idea. He said, holla at my man. So, you know, I didn't know DXT like that. So, you know, he was DJ mixing. I said, yo, my man, you going places. He was like, okay. I said, yo, I'm over here with Herbie. Herbie feeling you like a hit record, B. He said, okay. I said, yo, you probably want to do a record with him. And the music stopped in the whole motherfucking place. Everybody's looking like, what the fuck happened? And he was like, look at me. He said, what? I said, Herbie want to do a record with you, Plain Point. What you want to do? You heard me? And he said, yo, put it together. I said, oh.
Kyler, you
I went back to Herbie, and Herbie was like,
I said,
yo, Herb. I said, he's on board, Herb. Herb said, yo, Khalil, thanks for making it happen, man. I said, say no more. And
Khalil,
you can finish it up. You can finish the rest of the part up.
Khalil, I'm not giving you no money, man. I'm not gonna give you no money. I'm not.
Hey, D, now the record Rocket. Did that win Song of the Year?
Best R&B instrumental of the year.
Nice.
That's really officially the first hip hop Grammy.
For sure.
Before
Absolutely.
Will Smith, right?
Yes,
That's before
yes.
Will Paradise.
That's before
Will
hip hop
Smith,
had a category. So
Yeah.
Yes. One of the ladies on here.
Oh.
One of the ladies on here, she said she learned how to do the robot on Rocket.
Wow.
Yes.
She must be young because we learned robot on Soul Train.
Exactly. Dancing machine. D, I see that you work with Ginger Baker. How did that come about? What did you do with Ginger Baker?
Oh my goodness.
What was that?
That was, I worked with a lot
legendary jazz artist, legendary,
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
Ginger Baker was the strangest human being I ever met. But it was an experience to be around someone that he's eccentric and he's extremely talented. But I didn't say much to him. I just did what I was there to do, and he seemed like he was angry. Coming and going. He was just a very strange guy. And I didn't really get a chance to talk.
Were you programming for him, or you scratching? What were you?
I was doing my turntable stuff on the same record, on the same song. So I didn't really interact with him much.
D, another question. You now once that you go to Rocket, you were big, you and Herbie. Y'all, I'm pretty sure y'all went on tour around the whole world, of all countries around the world. Now, some of the countries, Italy, France, Germany, were they new to the scratching game? Like you was like bringing something new to guys? Yeah,
I was basically the first person on the planet in some of these places with turntables. So, and that's what made it a bittersweet thing, because I was the first one to do that form. My contribution to hip hop is turntablism. And that is using the turntables as a real percussive musical instrument with a live ensemble band. And it's not an invention. I didn't invent that. It's an innovation. And that brings me to the thing that happened on with Raheem and Theodore, which I was really heartbroken to see that. But I'll get to that, because I wanted to bring that up when we brought something else up.
Now,
of the history and these stories, and who created what and who invented what, and just like the term hip hop, that story is one narrative, but the one that I'm speaking of holds truth to the origins of the expression itself.
Now, D, to this day, D, do you still get sponsorship from you being an innovator of a lot of this stuff?
Yeah, well, that's one of the things. I was inducted into the Rock Walk in Hollywood, the Guitar Center. So my hands is in the cement out there with Earth,
Really?
Wind, Fire, and Herbie. Yeah, me, Flash, Theodore, and I were inducted into the Rock Walk 2014 or 2013 or 14, right around that time. And so my brother Lord Jamar had had this show going on about the Puerto Rican thing going on with the hip hop and Fat Joe's comment and all that stuff. And he asked me to go on that show. And I had something else. I couldn't make it to the show, so I couldn't do it. And so, but I did get to watch it. And during that show, and there's a segment where Raheem is talking, and he's explaining the whole scratch thing on how, and he said that Flash told him that he was in there working on a song and a mix, and he didn't have no headphones, so he was doing all the cueing out loud, cueing through the speaker. Now we all know that the DJs who played in the clubs, they had to be on beat, which meant they had to cue records under the headphone. Jigga, 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 under the headphones, not out into the crowd. And so he said that Theodore saw him do that. And so that's how Theodore started doing what he does. So, because I know you remember at the time, Flash was saying that he started scratching. And so Theodore came on and completely went at Raheem. Really, it was really an emotional thing. And I thought it was terrible that happened between the two of them. I don't think Theodore understood what Raheem was trying to say. He wasn't trying to take anything from Theodore. He was saying this is how it happened. But in truth it's the language. We keep saying Theodore invented scratching. All of the DJs who cue on beat were doing that. Flash said he was doing it in his house, and that's where Theodore saw it. But Theodore did it in public. So that's his innovation.
Yeah.
You have to give Theodore the credit because he did it in public.
He brought it to the world.
He brought it to the world. And so it's not an intervention, it's an innovation. Y'all copy what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Copy.
It's like Theodore took that chance to see how it sounds to the world, what they accepted.
Right, because when we did it at parties, we would go, "Oh shit, accident." You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Y'all know that when we do it, you get, Fader was over a little bit, and Theodore said, "No, that's fine, do it." So Theodore should be credited.
Theodore, man.
Right. So Theodore, that's his innovation, and he deserves to be credited as innovation. We using created is the wrong terminology, because there were people doing it before Theodore, but they were doing it under the headphones.
In-house.
Right. And so
that was good, B. I like that. That was a good way to, I never even thought of even look at it like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And so and that puts Theodore in a better position than, because it gets skewed because you realize other people were doing that also before he was even DJing, And so and who knows out of us who was doing that first, whoever was DJing before us. And so my love and respect for my brother Grand Wizard Theodore, that is his innovation to the culture, and he deserves to be credited for it.
Okay, real quick.
Let me just say this. Look.
And wait. And what my brother Raheem was doing was just trying to explain that's the story. He wasn't trying to diminish Theodore at all. And it got somehow the wires got crossed, and it was an ugly exchange in front of everybody.
Yeah. Well, pretty much. Let me just put it like this. You know, I was telling Guy about this. I don't know if Guy remember. I'm the one that gave Theodore a couple of sips of that alcohol. He got that courage in him to say "fuck it." And people looked at me and said, "What the fuck y'all looking at?" And they was like,
"Oh man, I thought you was going to say you gave him the alcohol."
Hold on, D. The fact that I gave him some liquor, a little hit. Come on, man. Shit.
No, I thought you was going to say,
man. And Guy even told me, yo, Khalil, you don't even know if you didn't give him that couple of sips of that shit, he would have never did that shit. You know, yo, Guy, we gonna talk after this shit because D, I see D hiding behind the woods and shit like that, like saying this shit ain't real. But okay, anyway.
No, I thought you was gonna say you gave him a couple of drinks before he called Raheem.
Oh.
It damn sure sound like it.
I did that too. Okay.
So look.
Go on.
Yeah, Popo.
Sam is saying that he want to thank you for clearing that up. You paved the way for people like him to be a DJ.
That's what's up.
That's a great thing. And to add, you know, I always say Smokey because I felt the same way because I was a smokatron and I started learning how to actually MC with Smokey at that time.
Well, tell that brother that gave me that compliment that all I need now is his social security card and his latest credit number.
Yo, look at the hat now. It says shout out to Rhonda Tharpe. Hey, Rhonda.
Rhonda Supreme. You gotta change that. Change that before the show is over. To Rhonda Supreme.
Just checking this out right now. Just how big the DJ game is now. You know, especially the cats overseas who DJ in front of 100,000 people now, making all this money, millions of dollars DJing. You know, now knowing that Kool Herc was one of the first to have he's one of the first to come up with 2 turntables. Am I correct?
No.
Who's the first to come up with 2 turntables?
We don't know. No, I couldn't tell you that. No, that's way before our generation.
So you had back before our generation, it was people that had 2 turbos mixing records before Kool Herc?
Yes.
Yeah. Steve, before Kool Herc, our
Grandmaster Flowers is before Kool Herc.
Our cousins in Jamaica was doing it.
Grandmaster Flowers for sure, yeah.
Pete DJ Jones. There's a whole generation of DJs, bro. And this is what happened. The knowledge is lost because it wasn't shared. It wasn't passed on.
Documented.
The oral lineage of it got lost in different terminologies, different slangs, different, so you don't know who's doing what. And just like Busta Rhymes, he made a comment, but he does not realize the origin of the expression that he thinks comes from Jamaica. And if he goes there and he talks to his elders, they will help give him a better understanding of where that came from. And it's not his fault. It's not his fault.
Come on, buck.
Yeah.
Remember that?
No, I'm saying dance hall, where that comes from.
Oh, the dance hall, yeah.
And the origins of reggae music itself.
Right.
And so that's a lesson that I'm actually working on putting the whole lesson together and make that a master class, since this has become this whole argument about Caribbean and influence on the indigenous people here. We're all the same people. We just got dropped off in different pieces of sand.
Exactly.
And so
come from America.
The problem becomes nationalism is now overshadowing your genetic makeup. That's a huge mistake. And so we have to fix that. The same thing with the Puerto Rican debate going on. There's several issues. There's several issues there. One is nationalism, colorism, and blatant racism. And so
Yes.
we have to deal with these
Exactly.
things so that everybody has a better understanding of what is pushing what out and pulling what back and making this mainstream and making right. And so we
Yes.
need to deal with that. So, and I didn't come on here to deal with any of that, the Jamaican debate or the
Right.
Caribbean debate or the Puerto Rican debate.
Can you tell me?
That's an academic debate, not a I got the most expensive watch, so what I say is true.
So listen, wait, Khalil. Can you tell everybody what are you doing today? Because we went back to before, and our time is actually coming to an end. Can you please tell us what are you doing now?
I was hoping the camera would freeze so I could scratch my ass.
Well, I know you wanted to come to the Poconos. You're more than welcome to still come before the snow hit the ground. So definitely, I know you got some things.
Yeah. So no, but I'm working on a few things. I just did Thelonious Monk, Palo Alto, live, and the Palo Alto Custodian mix, and both of those records went to #1. So I got 2 #1 records at Universal, and those are jazz records. So like I said, hip hop, jazz is for me. It's all the same. It's all music. I'm going from. I have a project going on right now called The Journey, and it's a play kind of record. So it's a stage performance actually, and we're working on it now. And I've been working on it. COVID kind of locked it down, but now we're back at it. I produced a song with Angie Stone, The Last Poets, Allison Williams, T.S. Monk, and it's growing. I'm actually going to talk to this group called the Force MDs and see if I can get them on it. I heard those boys were good. So
Listen, brother. We're gonna wrap this up, man. This was an awesome, awesome, interview. You're present. Priceless, man. We appreciate you. We appreciate you sharing your time with us, man, and with our audience who loves you to death. We commend you on the things that you're doing and keep doing, and especially for the information, because information is one of the biggest commodities, man, in the world.
And Team Hip Hop, I didn't mention that. That's my grassroots movement that we're doing master classes on all these subject matters and all types of other things, industry things, economics, health. Easy AD is a member, and we have several members. But so yeah,
we
man.
love to see you on the Hip Hop Alliance
that
conference, man.
Say that again.
The Hip Hop Alliance. I know you're familiar with that.
Yeah, I was on that call.
The one Chuck was on.
Yeah, about 2 or 3 days ago.
Okay, you was on that one over the left. Okay, yeah, okay.
The big one. It was like
9,000
people on there. Yeah, I was on there.
Yeah,
I was listening.
It's coming together.
Yeah. And with that, on that note, I'd like to close on this in regards to that, because it's the most important thing for us is to recognize that as long as we're using a monetary system that we don't control, we everything that we do can be circumvented.
I told Pebbly that shit yesterday.
Yeah.
D, I got a real quick question before we go. Look, I know you DJed on RX now. Your talent with your drum skills. Do you play drums on a lot of stuff you produce too, or like?
That's weird. I haven't in quite some time. I haven't played drum, and I'm going to. I'm doing it. I'm working on an album now for the 2024 Olympics, and I'm covering all of the classic B-boy records, and I'm going to play drums.